From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. Hey, you know, the Aaron Rodgers thing brought something up it's almost embarrassing that we have to have this conversation. But seriously, can we retire the word woke forever? The basic, very simple history of the word woke, I think we know this, don't we? Shouldn't we? It's been around forever and ever. It originated in African American culture and language, and it had a very simple meaning. It meant to be woke, to be awake, to be aware, to know your history, to know when things are afoot, to know what's right and wrong. It was kind of a catch-all, but very effective and a nice little piece of language. Well, over the years, it faded, as language does, but then it got picked up first by well-intentioned, well, people like me. Although, not me personally. I promise you. I didn't do this. I know when to shut up. I'll give myself credit for that. But the term woke got appropriated by well-intentioned white allies. And they started using it. And sort of awkwardly. And it really wasn't cool. And so that lasted a little while, maybe less than a year. But then it immediately got picked up by centrists, by libertarians, by right-wingers, and used, of course, as a pejorative, as a slur. And Aaron Rodgers uses it a couple times in his dopey little defense as he sits on the couch and talks to the podcasters. He says, woke mob. Now, if you don't know by this time how ridiculous that makes you sound, if you haven't figured that out yet, it's just shocking to me how anyone can still be using the word woke as an insult. It paints you, accurately I might add, as a complete and utter dolt. It's lazy, it's stupid, it's snarky. Let's just retire the word woke, shall we? That's the thing. I think John Cleese of Monty Python fame gets credit for popularizing this idea. Of course, he didn't come up with it, but he made it popular. The idea that stupid people don't know they're stupid. And that's the point. They're too dumb to realize how dumb they are. Well, anybody who's still using the word woke just has no comprehension as to how ridiculous that makes them look and sound. So, if you have fallen into that linguistic sin, please make a course correction. Please take the word woke out of your vocabulary. It's meaningless, it's a catch-all, and it's used almost, maybe I can cut out the almost, exclusively as a snarky insult. The funny thing, too, about right-wing insults, oftentimes a right-winger, and you'll hear the talking heads if you ever have occasion to hear talk radio or Fox Channel or whatever. Sometimes they think they're making a point by repeating a left-wing talking point verbatim, but only with a sarcastic inflection. So, you want free health care for everybody. That's the extent of their argument. Well, I had a sarcastic inflection. Isn't that enough? Well, it's enough to know that you're against it, yeah. but it's not making an argument. All right. So anyway, yeah, woke. Don't be doing it. All right. News yesterday. The House January 6th panel, as promised, 6 more subpoenas. And we got some big names, 2 of them especially, Jason Miller and Michael Flynn. Jason Miller, a close associate. I forget what positions he held. But you'd see him often, speaking of talking heads, you'd see him out there defending the Orange Menace. So part of the inner circle. But then, of course, Michael Flynn, being the biggest name on the most recent list. Reading now from the AP. Expanding its probe, the Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol insurrection has issued subpoenas to 6 more associates of former President Donald Trump, who were involved in his efforts to overturn his defeat in the 2020 election. The House voted last month to hold longtime ally Stephen Bannon in contempt. And see, I mean, this gets me to my pessimism about this whole thing. Of course, Steve Bannon is going to just play out the clock. He's not going to honor the subpoena. I would be absolutely shocked. I would bet the house that there's no way in the world Steve Bannon testifies to anybody. He's just not going to do it. He's going to keep it in the courts as long as he can. He's going to play out the clock. And then even if he loses in the end, he spends 6 months in jail. It's good for his brand, and he's happy and fine. He'd love to go to jail for a little while if it helps his brand. And it absolutely does. So, this is troubling. Michael Flynn, you got to put him in the same category. Now, of these many subpoenas, and I've heard there's up to 20 more that we can expect. Yeah, they're going to have some cooperation, and they've had some cooperation. There's lots of talking going on that we are not privy to. If you're disappointed in the January 6th committee, I don't blame you, but you should know, just a reminder, they're working every day. And they've got a staff, and they've got lawyers, and they've got investigators, and they're working every day. And all these subpoenas that they sent out, they are talking to people. We don't get any of this information. I mean, that's the way it's designed. This is all behind closed doors. So if you're getting a little cynical about this January 6th committee, I don't blame you. But hold your judgment. This is happening without blaring headlines. It's happening without our input. It's happening without the commentary from an infinite amount of talking heads on your cable news. Things can happen without that. You don't have to have this huge layer of conversation and punditry to make something legitimate or even real. No, it's real. It's actually happening as we speak. Okay, so that's good. We don't know what it is, so let's reserve judgment. But on Steve Bannon, I've told you what I feel about that. I think Michael Flynn will follow the exact same routine. He'll fight it. He'll refuse. He'll get lawyers. He'll get all lawyered up. And the courts will do what they have to do. It's the law. They have to accept these cases. And it goes from one court and it bounces to another and it gets appealed and it gets, So that's going to happen certainly with Flynn, whose brother was right in the middle of the whole January 6th insurrection, as you know. So I bring this up only to say, well, it happened. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Stephen Miller, with the others. Let's see who else was subpoenaed today. Issued new subpoenas to Bill Stepien, that's a name I recognize, manager of the 2020 re-election campaign for the Orange Menace. Jason Miller, senior advisor to the campaign. Angela McCallum, I don't know that person. National executive assistant to the campaign. Okay, now here's the big one. Here's the other big one. John Eastman. Not a familiar name until just recently. Of course, the lawyer who came up with this 6-point plan, this airtight legal argument for Vice President Pence to negate the electors from the swing states, thereby throwing the vote to Congress. And then, of course, they name the Orange Menace as winner of the presidential race. All right, so he had it all mapped out. So I think we know that story, right? And then he's been back and forth. At one point, he said to one reporter, no, that wasn't serious. I don't want to be associated with that. But then in other sort of captured conversations, shall we say, from cell phone video, he's very clearly defending the work and saying, yes, that legal strategy was absolutely airtight. And going so far as to say that he's now accusing Kamala Harris in advance. That now when it comes time to certify the electoral vote for the 2024 election, assuming that Joe Biden loses the 2024 election, as vice president, Kamala Harris will use Eastman's exact strategy, that 6-point plan, to negate any close states and hand the election to Joe Biden, even though he didn't win. So Eastman is accusing Kamala Harris of doing that in advance, using his plan. I would love for the committee to talk to him, but I really don't think they're going to talk to him. Do you think Eastman will talk to the committee? No. There again, courts, it takes months, takes years for this stuff to get through the courts. So I don't see that ever happening. Maybe he's got a little weaker stomach than these other hardcore guys. He's just a little pinch-nosed lawyer. Maybe when they threaten a year in jail, maybe he'll sing. I don't know. So that happened. And it reminds me of, I don't know if I want to get totally into this. You and I have sort of skirted around this a couple of times. And that is the issue of being overly lawyered up. It came to mind talking about this Steve Bannon situation where he just gets it in the courts. I mean, the Orange Menace is famous for this. He did it with his taxes for 4 years. He's still doing it. He's fighting to keep secret all of his communications and all White House communications before, during, and after January 6th. He's fighting that. So the general problem I have here is everything is too legalesed. It's too easy for things to just get tied up in the courts. I mean, of course, we have to have a legal system, but it's everywhere we turn. From the user agreement on your video game, or whatever app you open, you've checked the I agree box, haven't you? Have you ever read one of those user agreements? And even if you did, you wouldn't understand it. It's impossible to understand. You're watching television, there's some ad for something, and there's the fine print. This whole big paragraph of fine print, it takes up the lower third of the screen. And even with your massive full-wall monitor and your high-definition resolution, there's no way you can even read it. You can get right up on it. You're not going to be able to read it. So it's there. It's in every contract. Throughout society, throughout the business world, the arts, wherever you work, everybody has to have a contract with somebody else. All right? So it's in every contract. Nobody can understand the legalese in a contract. It's like if you're a non-mechanic looking into a modern engine. Okay, well, there's a lot of parts. What do you know from engines? You don't know. It's the same thing looking at a contract. You have to pay somebody to know it. Do you do your own taxes? I gave up on that a long time ago. Maybe, okay, if you do, God bless you. Good for you. You're smarter than I am. I can't do my taxes. You kidding me? I've got to hire somebody who understands this stuff. There's legalese everywhere, like impenetrable legalese. It's in every law. The Build Back Better law, which I suppose we should talk about at some point. I haven't got the stomach for it right now. That thing is what? Currently, as it stands, I think it's 2,100 pages. It'll probably grow or shrink. I don't know. As they take things out, They'll make it even more complicated linguistically. But the point is, every bill now is at least a couple of thousand pages. Legislators don't have time to read it. The American public certainly doesn't have time to take a look at it. They don't give us that opportunity. Sure, they'll publish it on some government website. Have you ever tried to read a bill? Seriously, I've tried to read bills. I like to think I'm reasonably intelligent. I can't even get through 5 sentences. The first 5 words, I'm lost. I don't know what they're doing. Again, it's like looking at an engine for me. It's looking at a car engine. I don't know. There it is. I guess that's an engine. Well, look at that. I guess that's a bill. I don't know. It's so chock full of legalese. Every court decision. We got a couple of horrible cases going on right now. We got the Arbery case. We got the Rittenhouse case. And from what I've been able to glean so far of the Arbery case, maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic that justice will be served. The Rittenhouse thing I'm completely pessimistic about. Because the judge has indicated very clearly from pretrial motions on through selection of the jury, and now we're into the second week of testimony. He's made it very clear that he wants to just look at those few seconds. The letter of the law exactly. Nothing about Rittenhouse being underage, having an illegal gun because he was too young to carry it. The fact that his mommy drove him over a state line. None of the politics of it. The fact that he hung out with Proud Boys. The judge will not allow any of this very pertinent information to be allowed because in his very myopic legal view, and I'm not saying it's wrong, it's actually, that's his right. Some might say that's his duty. But this is my problem. From everything from user agreements to contracts to legislation to court decisions, someone in the position of authority can use the law to do whatever they want. You signed that user agreement. That doesn't protect any of your rights. No, it's there for one purpose. For the people who own that platform, who profit from that platform, it's protecting all of their rights. 0 of yours. If 2 companies write up a contract, well, they have a team of lawyers battling it out. So I suppose you could say, well, that's fair. At least it's a legal fight. But still, that contract is just filled with impenetrable legalese. And if there's ever a conflict that has to be settled, whoever in that moment of conflict has the most power will win. It makes absolutely no difference what's in the contract. We're supposed to be a nation of laws. That's a joke. We are not a nation of laws. Yes, we're buried in laws. They're up to our neck. They're over our neck. We're swimming. We're submerged in this sea of legalese. But because it's so convoluted, because it's so Rube Goldberged, the person or entity in power at any given moment can use that power to manipulate the law for their own ends. It's now happening with elections. The Orange Menace has set the precedent that if you lose, you simply take it to court. You file a bunch of briefs. You get in front of the Ritz-Carlton cleaning and dildos supply, and you have a big speech. And you get it all in the courts, and you mess things up for as long as you can. We've got... Okay, hollering, bitching, and moaning here. I'm not sure what to do about it. It's just a plea to somehow simplify. We got to understand. And we can't allow this bloated, crazy system to usurp basic justice. The election of 2020. Everybody knows, after exhaustive recounts and investigations, the outcome of that election. And yet, a super majority of Republicans still believe, to this day, as we speak, that Joe Biden is an illegitimate president. And they can point to all the evidence gleaned from bogus investigations and totally fabricated charges from the Pillow Guy and from Rudy Giuliani and the whole cast of characters. But the fact that law is so complicated in and of itself gives that cast of characters the opportunity to stick their dirty fingers into it and do with it what they will. Trayvon Martin's killer was found not guilty, even though it was clear to the world, because of the quote-unquote law. Rittenhouse is probably going to go free because the judge can manipulate that trial and convince that jury that, oh yeah, well, I guess the judge has made it really clear. He said it over and over again. This is the law. These are the few seconds we're looking at. This is the situation. You can't have any outside thoughts. You can't have any bias. So that all sounds good, right? That's like the ideal. But anybody with half a brain and half a heart must acknowledge that Kyle Rittenhouse did a very bad thing, and 2 people are dead, and 1 person was very seriously injured, who just testified yesterday, by the way. You should take a look at that. So, no, I'm not saying that we should chuck all laws and just rely on so-called common sense. No, I would never say that. What I am saying is the law has gotten so precise, so intricate, it has become, for those who care to manipulate it, absolutely manipulatable. And so, almost useless. And I don't want this to sound like a conspiracy theory. Maybe it's a natural conspiracy. It's in the interest of those in power to have these dense, convoluted, impossibly complicated laws, because they then become the only ones who can crack the code. They're the only ones with the right passwords. The rest of us are just screwed. The layman, forget it. The 99.999% of us just forget it. We haven't got a chance. If we want to have any hope in this system, we have to hire some really smart people, some really smart lawyers who can get in there on our behalf. And those doing that work, I got nothing but admiration for you. But man, it's a losing battle. So I'm of the very firm belief that however this can happen, it has to happen. If we're supposed to be a nation of laws, these laws have to reflect who we are. They have to reflect us as citizens, have to reflect some values. And if we're a nation of laws, we should be able to use the law productively to actually solve problems, to bring resolution to conflict. The law doesn't do that anymore. Contracts don't do that anymore. The user agreement for your game doesn't do that anymore. Elections at every level, all the way up to President of the United States. There's no simplicity. There's no elegance. There's no truth. There are only clauses and paragraphs and subsections and heretofore and when to there and the party of the first part. If you want to have a little smile, go to your favorite little video resource and find the contract scene between Groucho and Chico Marx. Maybe I should close with that. Do we have time? All right, we got time? All right, here it is.
Now, here are the contracts. You just put his name at the top and you sign at the bottom. There's no need of you reading that because these are duplicates.
Yes, a duplicate, please. Duplicates, sir.
I say they're duplicates.
Oh, sure, it's a duplicate, sir.
Don't you know what duplicates are?
Sure, there's 5 kids up in Canada.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I haven't been in Canada in years. Well, go ahead and read it.
What does it say?
Well, go on and read it.
All right, you read it. Go on.
All right, I'll read it to you. Can you hear?
I haven't heard anything yet. Did you say anything?
Well, I haven't said anything worth hearing.
Well, that's why I didn't hear anything.
Well, that's why I didn't say anything.
Can you read?
I can read, but I can't see it. Don't seem to have it in focus here. If my arms were a little longer, I could read it. You haven't got a baboon in your pocket, have you? Here we are. Now I've got it. Now pay particular attention to this first clause because it's most important. It says the party of the first part should be known in this contract as the party of the first part. How do you like that? That's pretty neat, eh?
No, it's no good.
What's the matter with it?
I don't know. Let's hear it again.
It says the party of the first part should be known in this contract as the party of the first part.
Yeah, it sounds a little better this time.
Well, it grows on you. Would you like to hear it once more?
Just the first part.
What do you mean, the party of the first part?
No, the first part of the party or the first part.
All right, it says the first part of the party of the first part should be known in this contract as the first part of the party of the first part should be known in this contract. Look, why should we quarrel about a thing like this? We'll take it right out, eh?
Yeah, it's too long anyhow. Now what do we got left?
Well, I got about 1.5 feet. Now it says the party of the second part should be known in this contract as the party of the second part.
Well, I don't know about that.
Now what's the matter?
I don't like the second party either.
Well, you should have come to the first party. We didn't get home till around 4 in the morning. I was blind for 3 days.
Hey, look. Why can't the first part of the second party be the second part of the first party? Then you got something.
Well, look, rather than go through all that again, what do you say?
Fine.
Now I've got something here you're bound to like. You'd be crazy about it.
No, I don't like it.
You don't like what?
Whatever it is, I don't like it.
Well, don't let's break up an old friendship over a thing like that. Ready?
Okay. Now, the next part I don't think you're going to like.
Well, your word's good enough for me. Now then, is my word good enough for you?
I should say not.
Well, that takes out 2 more clauses. Now, the party of the 8th part...
No,
no?
that's no good, no.
The party of the 9th...
No, that's no good, too. Hey, how's it my contract is skinnier than yours?
Well, I don't know. You must have been out on the tail last night. But anyhow, we're all set now, aren't we?
Oh, sure.
Now, just you put your name right down there, and then the deal is legal.
Hey, I forgot to tell you, I can't write.
No, that's all right. There's no ink in the pen anyhow. But listen, it's a contract, isn't it?
Oh, sure.
We've got a contract,
You
no matter
bet.
how small it is.
Hey, wait. What does this say here, this thing here?
Oh, that's the usual clause. That's in every contract. That just says, it says, if any of the parties participating in this contract are shown not to be in their right mind, the entire agreement is automatically nullified.
Well, I don't know.
It's all right. That's in every contract. That's what they call a sanity clause.
You can't fool me. There ain't no sanity clause.
All right. I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.